What's up? This is gastancehouse, and this is how you align your stance car in your garage.
Alright, so pretty much what we're doing today is we're aligning the lewd. The Celica and the MR2, we aligned both of them with this method. This is for tow only, so that's kind of why it's specified for a lowered car, because most of the time, at least in this day and age, camber is everything, bro. So everyone's trying to keep camber, so this is just with tow. And this, we kind of had a blowout on the one tire, so we have this one of Cade's MR2 wheels on here for now while we align it. It's not really probably the ideal scenario for this thing to be aligned in, because we have a totally different size wheel and tire on the one corner, but it's kind of whatever. It's this thing hasn't been aligned since we lowered it, or since we've owned it, so this is like better than nothing. So and the thing with this is actually tall enough to get on a lift, so if we did decide, or an alignment rack, so if we actually did decide that we wanted it like perfectly zero towed out of place, then we could do it. But obviously for like the Celica and the MR2, these things can't get on an alignment rack, so that's kind of why the DIY alignment is needed.
Plus it's $60, and who wants to do that?
Yeah, plus it costs money, so this is for free, minus a little bit of your time. Alright, so this is kind of one of the first steps in doing this DIY alignment. It involves a little bit of math, but it's just like basic math. So pretty much what you want to do is find the track width of your car. So in my experience, the front wheel base is longer than the rear. So the front track width on this lewd is 58.3 inches, and the rear is 57.9. So pretty much what you want to do is subtract these two numbers, and what you're going to get is a 0.4 inches, at least in this case, is the difference. So what you don't want to forget to do next, because I've forgotten it before and it causes your whole alignment to be off by a lot. So since these two track widths, front and rear, are centered along the chassis of the car, you want to divide this in half to like accommodate, like, because you're factoring in like each side. So this divided in half, so what you want to do, divide that in half, so that's going to be 0.2 inches. And then pretty much I just did a basic conversion to millimeters, because that's what we're going to be using. And whenever you convert this to millimeters, it's roughly 5 millimeters. So yeah, so that pretty much then our setup is going to be, whenever we're going to run fishing line, which Cade's already set up, we're going to be running the rear here. We're going to measure from the center of the hub. We're going to be measuring the rear out an extra 5 millimeters, so that we know that this fishing line is straight with the chassis of the car, and that's going to give us the most accurate kind of reading for what is straight with this car, because the rear and front aren't aligned. So pretty much this is going from scratch. Like if the rear was already aligned, we could go off of the rear in a way, but actually for that you'd still need to factor this in. So this is a good habit to get into if you're going to be doing a DIY alignment. So also another thing to not forget is, if you're running a spacer, because I'm speaking from experience, if you're running a spacer anywhere on the car, you need to factor that into the track width, because that is changing the entire track width of the rear or front. So don't forget to factor that in. So here's what we're using, and that's gonna be the difference, and we're gonna get setting this up. Alright, so what we're using now is a flat edge, and what we're gonna do is we jacked it up, and since the whole geometry of the car changes as soon as you jack it up, what we're doing is just going solo on each wheel. So since we know this wheel is off from one end of the wheel to the other by 7 millimeters, what we're doing is setting this flat edge up so that one edge is, you know, say 3 millimeters, and then this is going to be 10. And then what we'll do is go under, adjust it until they're both equal, and then drop it back down, make sure everything's good. But it should, in theory, like everything should line up. So, because the tie rod, once you drop it down, the position of the wheel is going to change, but the tie rod length doesn't. So pretty much, yeah, it's going to be different where it is, but like if you adjust it the same amount, whether it's jacked up or lowered down on the ground, it should be in the exact same, it should move the exact same amount. So that's what the plan is right now. So once he gets this thing straightened up, I'll go under there and start moving these tie rods around and start getting stuff lined up. It should be sweet. Alright, so we ran into an issue with the nut on the tie rod, like giving us some trouble. So we didn't record any of it because it was kind of ridiculous, but we finally got it loose, so now we're just adjusting the tie rod. What'd you say?
2 millimeters.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't translate directly on the tie rod.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's in further. Technically, we could calculate it if we wanted to go full math, but come on.
Alright, wait, it might be close. You're good.
Perfect.
Yep. That
Alright.
was 7 millimeters. So
Gotcha. So now we aligned it, so now I'm just going to tighten this nut back down without making it an issue to loosen back up later if we need to readjust.
I feel like this one's going to be towed this way. Like that one's towed this way. I feel like this one's also going to be towed this way, like the steering wheel.
As we always say, bring the toothbrush. Just as we explain in our coilover videos, you know, the toothbrush is nice to clean out the threads and make sure you're not actually, whenever you're loosening something up, you're jamming rocks and dirt and grime in there and making it harder to get off. So it's best to just go over the threads with this really quick, get all that road debris off. That way you know for a fact you're not actually just digging yourself deeper into a hole. So go ahead and give that a nice clean. That would be nice. Alright, we're on the other side. This nut came right loose, so this side's moving a lot faster. As with just about working on any car, the second side you do goes a lot faster. But I think this was just because we got lucky. Alright, it should be tight. Cool. So we just laid down the fishing line again to double check and see how we did. How did we do, Cade?
Alright, let's measure real quick.
Now this is like factoring in the wheelbases, the track width front and rear. This is how we did it in the beginning. This is making sure that after all the whole thing with the straight edge.
Alright, front is at 75.
Okay, 75 millimeters.
Moment of truth. The back. Oh, it's at 74 and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
It was a good try.
I'm happy with that, honestly. That's pretty good.
Alright, next side.
Alright, yeah, now we're going to test the next side. Hopefully it's as good as this side. So this side's off by a little bit, so what we're going to do is we're literally just going to repeat exactly what we just did, and then we'll measure it again and see where it's at. So this is kind of part of the process, trial and error, so we're going to get it right. Alright, so we made some adjustments, now we're going forward again.
78 and a half and 79.
That's good enough for me.
Well, it's like more like 78 and 79. A little bit over 70.
That's fine. Off by a millimeter, it's not bad. Compared to how bad it was.
Yep, that was.
Sweet. Alright, now we're going to test drive it and see how it rides. And see if the steering wheel's straight and everything else. So yeah, we gotta fix that. Take it on the Williamson. I'm a little nervous. going straight?
Yep.
Dude, we might have actually succeeded. Straight? Does it feel like it's pulling?
It's pretty straight. It might. I don't know. I mean,
It's probably not perfect, but
it's not perfect, but it's 1,000 times better than it was.
I can't even remember how bad it was before.
It was bad.
Was it?
Like, it was like this and we were going straight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Alright, well that makes me feel a little bit better. So there you go, folks. That's how you do a DIY alignment in your garage on your slammed car that's too high for a standard alignment rack, or you just don't feel like paying someone money to do it, or you just want to,
Save money.
you know, have the experience of doing it yourself. So, or if you're like us and you change your suspension setups a lot, like to take your car to get it aligned, even if, you know, we could fit on an alignment rack, which we could probably fit on an in-ground one, but like to do that every time we change a setup, that's like a huge pain in the butt to, you know, schedule and actually take it somewhere and pay someone. It's like, I'd rather just do it myself, spend an afternoon working on it. So there you go, Gastancehouse, how to align your car. Stay tuned for more. Peace out.
Yeah.